appreciate that. So what will we be covering today? So we will start off with Windows, and we'll be using version 10. We'll talk about file storage and the PC itself and the storage, cloud storage. How do we view that storage? Where do we put our files and folders and how to manage those files? For example, how to delete them. Where do they go? Can you create folders and put those in there? So moving them, copying them, the recycle bin, and zip files. This is what we'll be covering today. We're going to try to get organized with finding our files. I have some tips along the way that I think you will glean from. And so let's get started. So Windows 10. So that's the Microsoft operating system that most of us are using right now. So with Windows 10, you are working with the desktop. On the desktop, you have a taskbar, you have a start menu, you have the File Explorer on your taskbar, you've got the search bar, and it typically comes with Microsoft Edge for your internet browser, where you certainly can use Chrome and Firefox as well. So using the Windows 10 desktop is something that you want to get comfortable with. So how comfortable with the desktop are you? For example, I'm going to show you, I believe you'll be able to see my desktop in just a moment. Let's take a look to make sure you are seeing what you should be seeing. There you go. So this is the Windows 10 desktop that here at MassHire we've customized. Well, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to notice down here is your start button. So when you click on your start button, you're seeing in alphabetical order all of your software packages that are on this PC. Now, typically you would like to probably have these icons at the bottom so that you'll be able to get into software packages as well. Well, say for example, you like to use, let's say you like to use Firefox. And Firefox is listed on the start button, but it's not listed at the bottom of your screen. But you can fix that. You can go to the start button, and where it says Firefox, you can right click, go to more, and pin it to the taskbar. So you click once on the start button, you find the software that you want to pin to the taskbar. You right click on that software and go to more and pin to the taskbar. Now when I use the left mouse button to pin to the taskbar, you will see that it shows up on the bottom of the screen, which is the taskbar itself. So these are shortcuts. These are icons. You double click on the desktop. You single click on the taskbar. So when you're using Windows 10, this is not a Windows 10 class, but of course, some of these things are going to be important for you to be able to feel comfortable with your operating system. And your operating system is also going to give you the File Explorer. And that is this button down here at the bottom. And when I click on the File Explorer, I'm going to be able to take a look at my OneDrive, which is my cloud, and I'll dive more into this information. I'm going to be able to look at my PC, and I want you to notice desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, and videos. These are the libraries. You can call these libraries or you can call them folders. These are the main folders that come with your operating system off of your PC. So you're typically saving things into the documents folder, and you can make subfolders off of that. So we'll work with this File Explorer as we continue as well. So you have your taskbar, you have your icons on your desktop, you have your start menu, you're able to search if you can't find anything, you're able to use Microsoft Edge as your internet browser as a default, or you can use Chrome or Firefox, and you've got your File Explorer. Now, when you're working with files, this is pretty basic, but I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable with this. So when you're using a Word document, say for example, you're creating your resume. When you're using a Word document, that document always, the software puts always at the end a 4-letter file extension. That file extension for a Word document is docx. For an Excel file, it's XLSX. For a PowerPoint, it's PPTX. And then, of course, other software has extensions. So the 4-letter extension helps you realize what type of document it is. Also, the icon does too. So the Word icon looks like this, the Excel icon like this, the PowerPoint icon like this. Again, basic information, good information to know. As I mentioned, in Windows 10, you get these libraries, which are main folders. They come with Windows 10, so you get a documents, a pictures, videos, music, downloads. You also get desktop, but we're going to try to stay away from the desktop library. We may use it, but I'll give you some good information in a little bit. But these are the folders. Libraries can be called libraries can be called folders, but these are the main ones that automatically come with Windows 10, and you can make subfolders off of those. So videos, you'd put videos in, music, you'd put music in. When you download from an email or you download from a cloud or shared drive, they'd go into the downloads folder. And most of your documents, when you save, would typically go into the documents folder, or you also might be using cloud storage, which again, we'll talk about. So there are many different types of storage. So notice the first two. Hard disk drive, that most of us are familiar with. Each computer that you're using has a local drive, which is considered the C drive on your computer. Now, we've always called it the hard disk drive. Well, there's current technology that replaces the hard disk drive. When you're going to buy a new PC, you might hear an SSD drive. So SSD is a solid state drive. It's a little bit faster as well as newer in technology than the HDD. Again, just some terminology that maybe you should just be up on. The other is an external hard disk drive. An external hard disk drive is a standalone storage that you're going to plug into your PC, so you can have extra hard disk space. The removable disk drive, some of you call it a stick, some of you might call it a thumb drive, a flash drive, removable disk. That is storage as well that you can put in your pocket, put in any PC, and grab a file. Now, when you're working in a work situation, you typically will have a network drive, which is accessible over, let's say, the company's network. So it's a corporate network that you're accessing company information, and it's on a network drive, and you typically have it mapped. So the mapped drive could be, for example, the S drive, the J drive, the L drive, whatever letter they decide to use. Now, the hard drive in any PC is always called the C drive. In any other, if you put in an external hard disk, then that will be the E drive. If you then add a removable disk, that will be called an F drive. And then when you map a network drive, you can use any letter beyond that as well. So again, just making sure that you're comfortable with storage. And if you have questions along the way, you can certainly put those in the chat. Now, I wanted to give you a little bit more information about a network drive and a mapped drive, because I want you to understand that you typically will have an IT department, whether they're local or they're in another country or another state. They are managing that. We call that a server. And so most companies use a corporate network, which is, again, another word or another term is shared drive. And this network drive can be local, or it can be somewhere else that somewhere else as well as someone else is managing it. The files that you put can be shared with many people. You can also put a password so that only those that know the password can look at these files. So network drives are storage. So you can store files, you can store software, okay? And they are backed up typically by the IT department. Anything you save to the network drive will be backed up. And that way they're not on your PC. If you don't put it on your PC, you put it on the network drive, excuse me, then you can always get it back because it is being backed up. If by chance you store your files on your PC and your PC crashes, sometimes it's very difficult and sometimes not able to get your files back if your PC crashes. So that's why companies are using network drives, and they're also using cloud storage. Now, if you have a Microsoft Office subscription, so a Microsoft Office 365 subscription, or you've bought Microsoft Office, the desktop version of Microsoft Office, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, etc., you will get the opportunity to also have some cloud storage. So when you're using Microsoft Office, you have the opportunity to use cloud storage. You also can use SharePoint, which is a software that is part of your network, part of your cloud storage that you can use to organize your files. So when you're applying for a job, they might have cloud storage as a necessity for you to understand. And just know that it depends on if they're using Microsoft Office, or if they're using Windows, they're going to be using the OneDrive. So you may have different ways to get into your files. So another way to get into your files is using, again, cloud storage. So Microsoft Office, right, could be Excel, PowerPoint, Word. That's one bundle. Could be Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. That's another type of bundle. So they bundle the software. You might also get OneNote and Publisher. And again, depending on what you've purchased or what subscription you've subscribed to. So Microsoft Windows, okay, comes with cloud storage, and it's called the OneDrive. So anyone who has a PC has the ability to save to the cloud, which is the Microsoft Cloud, which is, again, the OneDrive. You're able to access it from any PC when you log into Microsoft Office 365. Now, how do you get it? Comes automatically when you've got Windows 10. It's already included with Windows 10. If you have a Microsoft 365 subscription, like I mentioned, you'll get additional features and extra cloud storage so that you can access your files and edit your files and share your files. Now, you may also notice a list in blue at the bottom of this slide. You may also be familiar with Amazon Drive is cloud storage, Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, as we've been using, and iCloud for Apple. So you may be used to using some cloud storage with one of these other software packages. Just remember the Microsoft OneDrive comes with Windows, and that's your cloud storage that you're able to save to. So again, what are the advantages? Well, I have a PC and I have a hard drive, which is the C drive. If I save all of my documents to that hard drive, it typically works fine, but there is a chance that if this computer ever stops working, I will probably lose my files. So instead of saving to your hard drive, it's a good idea to save to your cloud storage, your OneDrive. And that way there, you can store your information. It is safe. It is on another server. And a lot of the servers are in the Midwest, by the way, being controlled in big warehouses. And so you're saving your files on the cloud storage. So just in case your PC stops working, you can still use another PC and access your cloud storage and all your files that you've stored there. Any questions with that? I wanted to break down some of the personal cloud storage options that you might be using. So Amazon, so if you have an Amazon account, you get 5 gigabytes of free cloud storage. Google Drive, if you're using Google Docs or you have a Gmail account, you get 15 gigs of free storage. The Microsoft Online, of course, we've talked about it. You typically get 5 gigs of free storage. You can always purchase more on any of these personal cloud storage software packages. The Apple, you get 5 gig of free, and Dropbox is 2 gigs of free. So these are some cloud storages that you might be familiar with. So how are you going to tell how large the hard drive you're using and how full it is, as well as the cloud properties that you have? Did you already use your 5 gig that was being given to you in your cloud storage by, say, for example, the OneDrive? So I wanted you to see on this slide right away that we're going to use the File Explorer button. We're going to look for the C drive or the OneDrive. We'll do each one. And we're going to find the properties by right-clicking and going to Properties and looking at the space that is used in any free space. And you'll see a dialog box like this will be popping up. So right now I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to come down to the bottom of the screen and go back to the File Explorer. I'm going to look on the left-hand side and notice it says Local Disk C. So I'll go here and right-click. A menu pops up. I'll left-click on Properties, and you will see this dialog box popping up, and you can see Used Space and Free Space. So I have a 465 gig hard drive, and in the gray is free space. I haven't used much of it up. So this PC, I don't have a lot of files on it or a lot of pictures, or it's just so big that I may have a lot, but I still have a lot more room. Okay, so I'll click OK. And then I'll go back over here on the left-hand side and notice the OneDrive. Here's my cloud storage. So I'm going to right-click. I'm going to go down to Properties. And I'm going to be able to see, let's see, the size and what it contains. Let's take a look at some advanced features. All right, let's go up to sharing. So typically I can see the size of it. And so because this is a protected cloud storage on this PC that we use for training, a lot of the times I'm not able to see everything, but you'll be able to see your properties. All right, what do you think? So now you know how much room you have on your PC, and now you want to start working in Microsoft Word, you want to start working in Google Docs and maybe download some of those files, you want to start working in Excel, and you want to be able to see your files. Now, somebody writes, which I'm so glad that they did, they have a great need to get their documents off of their desktop. When we save, we should really save to the hard drive, in the Documents folder, or the cloud. We should not save to the desktop, even though so many people do. And I'll be honest with you, watch my desktop for just a moment. We use this PC for training, as we're doing today. Notice I have a folder, Jan's training events, right here, and I have it on the desktop. Why? So that I can quickly get to it. These are copies of the trainings that I do. The real files are sitting on the cloud, which is our network drive here at MassHire. I have a copy sitting on my desktop so I can grab them easily when I do the file transfer at the end of these presentations. But that's not what I typically do on my own PC. I do not save to the desktop. Let's talk about why. First of all, if you ever have trouble with your PC, you might have to do what's called a system restore. And what that system restore does, it returns Windows 10 to its previous day's state of affairs, in a sense. So what it looked like the day before. But this feature that you might have to do if something crashes on your PC or Windows is not working, you might have to restore it. This feature will remove any of the files on the desktop since that date. But if you saved files In the Documents folder, they're not touched. So you can add your desktop to your Documents library if you'd like, but most of the time you want to make it a rule, a pattern that you're going to save either directly to the cloud, or you're going to save, if you don't have the cloud, you're going to save to the Documents folder on the C drive, which is your hard drive, not on the desktop. For this reason, you may never have to do a system restore, but you don't know what's going to happen to your PC, or maybe Windows will have a little trouble and you'll have to do a system restore. And all the files will be removed since the date of the restore. So you may lose quite a few things. Also, look at the last bullet. You may be doing a file backup, which you should be doing. So backing up your files, you may have a program that allows you, or you're using Windows program that allows you to back up your programs to make a copy. But these programs don't back up your desktop. Your desktop should not be the place that you put your files. Because if you ever want to back up your files and use the backup software, the files in the Documents folder will be backed up. The files on the desktop will not. Also, the desktop can get very messy and cluttered and very difficult to work on. Now, you can see your desktop in two ways, and you can see all your folders as well by using, the best way is again the File Explorer. So when you click on the File Explorer, on the left-hand side, you click on your OneDrive, you click on your desktop, you click on your Documents, your Downloads folder, your Music folder, your Pictures folder, your Videos folder, and you'll be able to see your files. And when you are working in Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you'll be able to see when you do a file save, the Documents folder is the default folder. So you'll be able to put files into that folder and make your own, which we'll talk about as well. Okay? All right. So no, do not use the desktop. Now, how are you going to move files from the desktop to your Documents folder or any other subfolders? We'll be talking about that very soon. All right, so where should you save your files? Take a look. Many companies offer different file storage options, which is basically a cloud storage, making all of your files accessible from any computer. So I want you to think about this, everybody. Last March, when it was the 17th, when we all were told to go home and not come back, we didn't know how long it would be. For a lot of us, it was still home. We needed to access our files. So even prior to March 17th, MassHire was always encouraging us to save our files on what we call SharePoint, which is our network drive, and SharePoint is the software that comes with Microsoft Office 365 that allows us to look at our files and our folders. Therefore, when we were home, we still had our files. Some people were saving them to the desktop, so they couldn't go back to work and get their files from their desktop. So the IT people had to go to the desktops, put them in a folder, put them on the shared drive for the people that were working from home. So again, it made a lot more work. So that's why you want to listen and pay attention to what your company's policy is on where to save your files. Now, if you're home, you're saving files to the hard drive typically, but if you have cloud storage and it's very important information, save it to the cloud so that it will always be backed up for you. And that would be typically your OneDrive. Working from home, we were using the Office 365 SharePoint. And then some of you are also using PhotoBucket or Adobe Portfolio or SmugMug or Amazon Prime Photos or Dropbox or iCloud for especially your photos. And you may be using some of those others that are also for your files as well. So Office 365 SharePoint is really not different than the OneDrive. It just lets you see your files differently. So for example, take a look. Someone asks this great question. So first of all, if I go to the left-hand side and I click on the OneDrive, all right, you're going to see that you'll have to set it up with your email address, and then you'll be able to view right here from your File Explorer, your OneDrive, and all of your files. Or you may be going to Office 365. So if I go to Office 365, let's take a look. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to go to my Office 365 account. And SharePoint is on the left-hand side. When I go to SharePoint, you're going to be able to see on the left-hand side as well, we have different folders. So myself, Nancy, Kelly, Brendan have a workshop team folder. Mass Higher Metro North has a complete share site. We have a partner share site, a front desk shared site. So meaning off of this is what SharePoint looks like. So this is a software that we use to find our files. I could look at SharePoint because this is the network that Mass Higher uses, or I could go, if I'm using my personal cloud, and go to the OneDrive and see the OneDrive. Now, when I'm at home, I'm able to, I set it up so that I can see my personal OneDrive because I have my own Microsoft Office account. And then I also have the Mass Higher OneDrive, which I can look at. I can also log in as I just did to Office 365 and use SharePoint. So SharePoint is like a software. It is a software. It's like a, again, something that covers up your screen and your drives to help you make folders, manipulate, and find your files. So they are different, but they are accessing the same point of files. So viewing your files and your folders. You're going to be look at step number 1. Basically, you're going to be using your File Explorer, or if you have a subscription to Office 365, you could log in and use SharePoint. Okay? All right. Notice again the default folders: documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos. To see your files, typically your files are stored in the documents folder as a default. And again, you can decide where to save your files. So let me open up Microsoft. Well, actually, let me go to PowerPoint. For a moment and do File, New, Blank Presentation, for example. And let's say I wanted to create a new presentation. I know this is not a PowerPoint class, so I'm just going to type one word, Mass Higher. And let's say I want to save this. So File, Save. And notice on my screen, I can see the OneDrive for my Mass Higher Metro North, or I can go to SharePoint, or I could use my personal OneDrive account, or I can look on this PC. So if I want to look on this PC, I like to choose Browse, to be honest with you, because it gives me, take a look at the window on the left-hand side. It gives me my main folders and any subfolders I created. So documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos. I can decide where I want to put it. Documents is the default. So I'll call this Mass Higher PPTX because it's PowerPoint. I'll save it and it goes to my documents folder. So if I go back to our PowerPoint, which we're using for our presentation, let's go back to this slide here. we can, oh, not this one. Let's keep going. Sorry. Oh, I thought I was there. There we go. So we can view our files and our folders. And when we save, they'll automatically go to the Documents folder. So let's go back to the File Explorer. Let's look at the Documents folder. And if I look down here, here is the Mass Hire PPTX. Notice it has the date and the time and what kind of file and how big it was. Because I'm working with, you'll see a little bit more later, but I'm working with details. So if I go to View at the top of the ribbon, I'm seeing the details of my document. And I'm just going to do something to clean this up a little bit for a little bit later. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can do this again. Okay. So I'm just cleaning this up a little bit, which I probably should have done before we got in there. There we go. So now when we look at the Documents folder, you can see that I have 2 PowerPoints and a Microsoft Word document. Maybe I want to take from my desktop some of the documents that I might have put on my desktop and put them over to some other folders on my documents. Remember, why is it not a good idea to save to my desktop? Because again, it doesn't get backed up. And if I ever have to do a restore, I might be losing some files. Always a good idea to use the Documents folder on your PC, or if you've got the opportunity for cloud storage is the best answer. Okay. If you reach the max of your 5 gig, you do have to pay for more. So that is just a little disadvantage. And you'd have to go into the Microsoft, you'd have to Google increasing your cloud storage for Microsoft, which is your OneDrive. And I believe you'll see what the prices are. They do change every once in a while. So you'll see how much those are. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Any questions? Am I clearing anything up for you? Is this making sense? When you use Microsoft Word and you save, where does it go? Typically the Documents folder. Can you put it in other folders? Of course you can. Okay, and we're going to be working on that. All right, so a lot of you like to just put everything into the Documents folder or just dump everything into the Documents folder on the cloud. So I want you to understand the C drive is your hard drive, and that has a Documents folder. And the OneDrive, which is your cloud, also has a Documents folder. So you have to pay attention to where you are and what folder you want to put the file in. As a default, remember the Documents folder is the main folder that you can make subfolders off of. So let's go take a look at these instructions. We're going to make a subfolder off of the Documents folder by right-clicking, choosing New, and typing in a name for a subfolder that will show up under Documents. And these subfolders will show up in alphabetical order. So let's go and demonstrate that. Let's go to the File Explorer. Documents is on the left. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to come down to New and click on Folder. Watch when I click on Folder. A box will appear right here. In the blue, I don't click, I just type what I want this name to be. So I'll say that I want it to be Training and hit Enter. Again, right-click, New Folder. This is one way. Maybe I want Job Search to be a folder. And notice they are going to be in alphabetical order. Now there is another way. Watch on your menu, everybody, which we call the ribbon. There is a New Folder button. So if I click on Documents and I come up and use the New Folder button, let's see the difference. In the middle of the screen, instead of on the left, the New Folder button will appear. And this is where I would type. So let's say I have a training I have a new folder. I think I will choose Customers as a folder name and enter. You will see in the center of your screen all of your folders and files. You will see on the left of your screen all of your folders and files. You can look to the left or you can look in the middle, whichever you prefer. Now on the left, I like to show you something though. Do you see this arrow beside Documents? That arrow appears when you create subfolders like we just did under the Documents folder. And I want you to notice visually, these folders have yellow manila folder icon looking things here on the left. So these are the icons that show you these are folders. They're yellow file folders and they're indented. So they're moved into the right a little bit because they are under the main folder called Documents. And this arrow, watch, when I click on it, collapses them. The arrow that's pointing to Documents, when I click on it, expands. So your eyes can see just the main folders, which are the libraries that come with Windows, or you can click the arrow and see the subfolders. You can also look in the middle and see the subfolders as well. But let me tell you why the left-hand side is a great way to take a look at your folders. Because let's go to Job Search. Nothing's in this folder, but I'm going to make a subfolder. The same way I did when I clicked on Documents. Now instead, I'm going to click on Job Search. I'm going to right-click, go to New, Folder. It is going to indent underneath Job Search, and I will put Resumes and hit Enter. So now you are seeing Job Search, which is under Documents. Resumes is under Job Search, which is under Documents. And that is called a path. And you'll be able to read the path easier at the top of the screen here. This PC, then I go to the Documents folder, then Job Search, and then there's a Resumes folder inside of Job Search. And if I double click, I see the path that I'm in. If I prefer to look at the top or look to the left, I'll be able to tell what folder I'm in. How did I get to that folder? Documents, Job Search, Resumes. This is the path. So I'm looking for the path. I like to look at the top. If I'm looking to see which one is a sub or sub-sub folder, I like to look to the left and see the indentation. Totally up to you where you prefer to look. But right now, my Resumes folder is empty. My Job Search folder is empty, but I do have some documents in my Documents folder, and I do have some documents on my desktop in the Jan's Training Events folder. So my goal would be to move these files from the desktop and put them into one of these folders here. So files go into folders. Folders have yellow icons beside them. Now everything that I just did would be the same on the OneDrive. So if you had your own personal cloud storage, which you would with Windows, of course, you would do the same thing here. You would right-click, you would go to New, and you would create a folder on your OneDrive. Your OneDrive is your cloud storage. And you'd set that up, of course, first. So everything I'm teaching you here and everything you see on this PowerPoint, you'll be able to do whether it's on your C drive or whether it's on basically even SharePoint or in your cloud storage for your OneDrive. So when you typically save a document, where does it typically go? It typically goes, as we mentioned, to the Documents folder. But if you wanted to go to another folder, you certainly can. Let's take a look. I'm going to bring up Microsoft Word in a second. And you're going to be able to see Microsoft Word opening up. And let me cancel that. And let me open this one. All right. password protected it the other day if you were in my tips class. So here is a file right here. Okay. Where is this file coming from? This file was in a folder that I opened the other day. Now, what if I wanted to save this to my job search folder? File, save as. I'm going to browse and take a look at my PC. Or I could take a look at my OneDrive. So on my PC, I'm going to go to the Documents folder on the left. I'm going to look for the job search folder, so I could expand this and look for job search here or job search here. When I click on job search with a single click, it doesn't open. But if I double click, it opens job search. And I want to save Northeast Regional Volunteer Program in my job search. Maybe that's where I volunteer. So I'm going to click Save. And it is now saved in that folder. Let's go take a look. Let's go to the File Explorer, Documents folder on the left, Job Search, and here is Northeast Regional, and you will see that document there. What do you think? Questions? Anything at all in the chat? So that's when I have the file opened. But what if I don't have the file opened? What if it's on the desktop or some other folder and I need to move it to one of these other folders that I have? So let's take a look. You're able to save when you're in the software and in the file. You're also able, let me just skip, to manage these files. And one of the ways to manage is to copy or to move. And we're going to talk about moving. We'll also talk about deleting and so forth. So when you're looking at your cloud storage, or when you're looking at, so you're looking at your OneDrive, or you're looking at your Google Docs, maybe you only have Gmail, and you're looking at your My Drive, which is the Google Drive, the same things, the same procedure can be done. So if I'm looking at my hard drive, my OneDrive, or any other cloud storage, I want to possibly be able to move a file from one place to another. It's going to be very easy because I'm using Windows. I'm using Windows 10. I'm going to use the File Explorer. Most of my files are either in the Documents folder or they're on the desktop. I'm going to find the document and right-click on it. So finding the file and right-clicking on it and choosing what choice, in this case, we're going to be doing Move. So let's go back to this File Explorer. Let's go to the left-hand side, and some of you mentioned that you save things to the desktop, so let me go and take a look at my desktop and look at all these files that I have. Before we move them, I want to make sure you know how to find them. So I want you to look at View with me. And I want you to notice I could do extra large icons, small icons, tiles, list, content, medium icons, and large icons. My favorite is details. Then I can sort by date modified, by the type, by the size, by the author, etc. Now, I do want you to notice name, date modified, type, and size are the default columns. So if I click on date modified, I will see the list most currently modified. If I click on type, you'll see all the folders together, all the PowerPoints together, all the PDFs together, all the Word together, all the Excels together, etc. If I click on size, you'll be able to see, let's say I'm looking for all the medium size documents, and I'm looking to see where they are or how large they are, or I can find them all, and I can decide to find this by the size. So smallest to largest, and then take a look at the largest ones and see which ones I might want to either delete or move. Again, it's up to you. If you click on name, they are sorted by name. All right, sorted by name. I like to sort by type so that I can put all of my files together. So here's all my PDFs. But if I'm looking for a particular file, I might do by name. And then, of course, right here, there is a search. And I can click and search for any file. So say, for example, I'm looking for a file that has the word basic in it. I hit enter. I'll see all the files that have basic in it and be able to look through and find the file that I'm looking for. And the word basic is highlighted so that I can see it. Okay, so if I don't want to search, I can take a look at my desktop, take a look at any files, and sort them by date, by name, by type, by size, or come up here and view them in different ways as well, and sort by any of the features. Okay? All right, so it's always great to be able to organize your files visually, and so you're using the menu and you're using view. Okay, so let's find a file. I'm going to find this Word tips file. This Word tips file, let's say I wanted to move it. What would I do? Well, I'd want to know where to move it to, and I have a couple of choices on how to move. One of the ways to move is to drag it to a folder that you see on the left-hand side. So let's say this chat about Word tips the other day that I taught is a Word document, as you can see, docx. You can see when it was created, and I want to move it. I point to it, I hold down the left mouse button, and I drag it to the folder that I want it to go to. Now maybe it's just I want to dump it into the Documents folder, or maybe I want to put it in Customers, or Job Search, or Resume, or Training. And I think I'm going to put it in the Training folder, so I point to the Training folder and I let go. It is gone from this desktop, and now watch when I go to Training, under Documents, it is sitting here. So dragging one at a time or dragging more than one at a time is one of the ways to move. So how would you select more than one? Well, let's take a look. You click on the first one. You hold down the Shift key because the Shift key on your keyboard when you're selecting means through. You hold down the Shift key and click on the last one, and all of these get selected. All you've got to do is drag. I'm going to drag them all at once, 10 of them at once, and drag them and drop them into the Training folder. They're going to be gone from this folder. They're going to be put into the Training folder. Now, how do you feel about the method of dragging? Do some of you let go of your mouse too soon? Yeah, that happens. And then you end up putting them in the wrong folder. So let me show you what you can do instead. Remember, clicking on the first, holding down the Shift key, clicking on the last will select a group. If you don't want to drag, you can right-click. Notice, cut means move. Then you go to the folder that you want to put them in. So I'm pointing over here to Training. You can right-click and paste. They'll be cut from here. Watch when I go to Training. They've been pasted in here. So if you'd rather do a cut and paste instead of a drag, you certainly can. Now, let's look at the desktop again. And what if you wanted to move this Excel if and VLOOKUP file and this LinkedIn Basics? They're not touching, and you don't want anything in between. You use the Control key and click, and therefore both of these are now selected. If you drag, they both get moved. This is called the drag and the drop. And so you drag it, which means move from here. You drop it, and they're in here now. So you can use Shift and Control when you're selecting your files. You can right-click. You'll see Cut for move. You'll see Delete. You'll see Copy. You'll see Print, etc. All right, any questions? So if I wanted to take everything from the desktop, click, go to the desktop on the left. I would definitely recommend that you create folders to put and be more organized. But let's say you want to take everything at once. Control, holding the Control key down, and just tapping the letter A on your keyboard. Control A means all. Selecting all, no matter what folder you're in, Control A will select all of the files and folders, and you can drag them all to the Documents folder or whatever file folder you want. But I would say take the Excel, put them in an Excel folder, take the Word, put them in a Word folder off of the Documents folder. Be a little bit more organized than just dumping them all into the Documents, but that's totally up to you. Any questions before we take a look at some other options? So take a look at the subfolders that I made earlier. I made a job search folder, and in the job search folder, you can see there's a resumes folder. If I open the resumes folder, there's still nothing in it. I did put some files into the job search folder, so one file. I put many files into the training folder, but look at these on the left-hand side. See how they line up? All of these folders are subfolders of documents. Resume is a subfolder of job search as well. So you look at the indentation and you see the path that these files will be put into if you decide to put them into the resume folder. The resume folder is part of the job search folder, which is then part of the documents folder. That's called the path. And again, you can see the path at the top, which is easy to see. So if you, let's say you get a new job tomorrow and they tell you, you start tomorrow and they tell you, go ahead and go look in the resumes folder and find those resumes and move them to the such and such folder. You're like, what? Well, that's okay. You look at your documents folder, you look on the left, you expand it with the arrow. You look at all these folders. Any folder that has an arrow beside it, click, and you'll see the subfolders. You can also search. So say you're looking at the documents folder and everything's collapsed, and you're going to be looking for resume folder. So you type in resume, and there's the folder that you can double click and open up. So when you search, you're able to search for files, you're able to search for folders. And everything is on this PC right now, and everything you learned, you could also apply to the OneDrive. What do you think? Any questions? Okay. Am I making it clear now? Is this something, these might be things you've already known, and maybe you're becoming just more confident in hearing them once again and knowing that you've done these things as well. Or maybe sometimes you're learning, somebody says, oh, good, I just learned something new. That's great. I love when you put that in the chat. Again, it might be just a thought process or an organization that you're seeing that you might want to incorporate as well. All right. Let's talk about deleting files. Let's go to the File Explorer once again. Let's take a look at the Documents folder and let's say these 3 files right here. Let's say I want to delete one of them. I can right-click and click on Delete. Now watch when I click on Delete. It is gone, right? Where did it go? Do you know where files go when you delete them? They go into the recycle bin. Now the recycle bin is part of Windows. It comes with Windows 10, all right, and any of the lower versions as well. Some of you have mentioned that you're using like version 8 still, and again, Windows 11 is out now, but we're using Windows 10, and there is a recycle bin. So if you delete a file, don't panic. Whether you're on the cloud or in SharePoint, you're in Google Docs, and you're using the My Drive, you're on the hard drive, wherever you are, there'll be a recycle bin. So how do I see that recycle bin? Well, let's go take a look at the desktop. So I'm closing these files that I've been fooling around with, right? And on the desktop, I'm going to move it so you can see it easily. Recycle bin. The recycle bin looks like a wastebasket, and if there are files sitting in it, it'll look like a full wastebasket. And all you do is double click. And let's take a look at this. So there are some folders that I deleted. There's some files that I deleted. There's the North Country one, 10/13, today at 2 p.m. I deleted that. Take a look at the top with me. You can click on name and see these by name, sorted. Date deleted. There's the North Country project at the top. Item type. So I want to see all the PowerPoint, all the Word, and any of the other types of documents that I might have deleted or folders deleted, grouped by their kind, in a sense. Okay? All right. You can also click on date modified, which is basically the last time you used it or modified it or deleted it as well. Now, notice the North Country project is sitting right here. It's been deleted. It's sitting in the recycle bin. I want you to understand that the recycle bin comes in a certain size. It is a big area sitting on your PC, on your hard drive, waiting for you to delete files, and it stores them in that. There are times, though, that you might delete something by mistake, and you want to restore it. So notice up on this ribbon, restore the selected item. Restore means put it back where it came from. So if I click on restore, it automatically is gone from the recycle bin. Where did it put it? Let's go take a look in the documents folder, and there it is. It's been restored. So you look on your desktop, you double click on your recycle bin, you look at all the files that have been sitting in the recycle bin, and they'll sit there forever, and you decide maybe you want to either restore them or you want to delete them permanently. You can empty the recycle bin. Just know what it says. Are you sure you want to permanently delete these items? And if I answer yes, they are permanently gone. Sometimes I let things sit in the recycle bin, especially if I'm sharing a PC like this one, because I don't want to delete something that's somebody else's, just in case they decide to go and recover it. So let's take a look at the PowerPoint again. You can empty the recycle bin, restore all, or restore the selected items. You can also right-click and use the shortcut menu to do restore or delete as well. Now, somebody had a quick question in the chat. Is there a quick, easy way to duplicate all files in folders on the desktop to the docs folder? So the reason why I'm saying this question is it's an important question, because they're asking to duplicate. Why would you duplicate Why would you want files sitting on the desktop and the same files sitting in your documents folder or a subfolder? Both of those groups of files are taking up room on your hard drive. Maybe you need that desktop as like a security blanket in a sense. You like using the desktop. You want your files in the desktop, and then you want a copy of them also in the documents folder somewhere. Okay, I get it, but that's not as organized as I would suggest, but I get it. So what would you do? You could take and do Control A on the desktop, right click and copy. Then go to any folder you want and right click and paste. And I'll put them in the job search folder for now so that you can see. When you paste, it's actually copying. So copying means I want the files left where they were, and I want a copy of them. And notice later I'll clean this up as well. But notice again on the desktop, there they are. In the documents folder, in the job search folder, there they are as well. So they're a copy. Again, it gets a little confusing when I want to use a file. Where do you go? Well, better to edit the file on the documents folder. Why? Because those get backed up. Or those don't get deleted if you have to do a system restore. So why bother keeping them on the desktop is my point. Again, that's up to you. You can also copy and then paste them to the OneDrive. Absolutely. So that you have them. But again, I'd get them off of the desktop. That would be my recommendation. Put a copy on the OneDrive if you prefer. The only thing is the OneDrive will fill up quickly because 5 gig is not a lot, and you may have to purchase more. So I don't think I would copy everything. I would only copy those files that are extremely important to keep just in case your PC either crashed or, something happened to it. Sometimes it takes a long time to figure out which ones are important, so it's easy to just copy everything and paste it into the OneDrive, but your OneDrive will get full. All right, your hard drive is many times larger than your OneDrive. The 5 gig is given to you free, and you'll have to pay for more storage. So keep in mind, whatever you put on the OneDrive should be probably things that you would hope to never lose. If you put your files in the documents folder or any subfolders off of documents, it's safer than on the desktop. All right, just like to reiterate that and make sure everybody understands. When you right click and you go and delete, remember it automatically is deleted. And where does it go? It goes to the recycle bin. You can restore those items as well. All right, any other questions? Okay, have you ever been, and feel free to put more questions in the chat, of course. So somebody says, how do you see what's on your OneDrive from another computer? Let me answer that because that's good. You'd have to log into your Office 365 account. So you'd go to the internet. And you'd log in using the Microsoft Office portal. So the Microsoft Office portal, so it's the Office 365 login. We call it the portal. And you would log in using your email address and your password. And I already have that set up here so that I quickly get right into my Office 365. And you would typically look at your OneDrive in a couple of ways, and one of the ways would be to use SharePoint as well. Okay? All right, so let's go back to zip files. Say, for example, I'm going to go to my Explorer, File Explorer, and you wanted to take these files that were in the training folder and you wanted to email them all. So I would highlight them all first. And then I just want you to see that you've got a share tab at the top on your ribbon, and you've got a zip option. So you can zip them all, and they're compressing and they're being zipped into a folder, and you can name this folder. So I'll call this the Jan's training files, and they're zipped. Notice ZIP is the extension. And then when I go into my email, I will attach this zip folder. Okay, so again, if I go into my Microsoft Office, I'll create a new email. Sorry, just takes a little bit of a time to get there. I'll create a new message. Sorry, it's so slow. Oh, it's popping up all kinds of things that I need to do for work. Anyways, I will attach it. So again, I probably shouldn't go in and show you my email, all that mass hire information in there, but you would zip it. So you would also, again, here's all of the instructions on how to zip them into a folder, and then you would attach them to an email. Now, what if you get an email with files zipped? You would download those from the email, and they would go into a downloads folder. So the downloads folder is sitting here under documents. Let's say that was emailed to me and I downloaded them. They got downloaded in a zipped folder. What will I do now? Well, when I click on this and I go to the home or share or view, you will see, let me see if I can find this. I'm going to click on zipped. There we go. I'm going to double click. I'm sorry. So when I double click, automatically, which will come up. So there's still home, there's still share, there's still view. And then automatically, when I double clicked on the Jan's training files that were zipped, this menu pops up. So this ribbon tab is popping up automatically. And notice it says extract all. Take them and unzip them. So when I click on extract all, I can decide what folder I want to put them in, and I click on extract, or I can browse and look at another folder, and I click on extract. They're becoming unzipped, and now they're in the Jan's training files, all unzipped. So let's take a look at PowerPoint. You can zip them and you can unzip them. And if you need to learn a little bit more beyond this demonstration, you can certainly go to this tab here, and this website, I should say, which gives you more good information. But again, how to zip them, here are the instructions, and then how to unzip them, which we used extract all, which automatically pops up on your ribbon. Any questions about zipping and unzipping in the downloads folder? Anytime you get an email and you decide to download it, take a look. It automatically goes to not the desktop, not documents, but they go to the downloads folder. So look at all these files that either somebody emailed, or I had gone to Google Docs, or I had gone to my SharePoint and downloaded them, and they're sitting in the downloads folder. Could I highlight them? Sure. I could highlight many files by using the Control key or the Shift key, and then move them to other folders. Remember, I can copy them, right-click, copy. I can cut to move and paste them where I want, or I could just drag them into a folder where I want them to go. Make sense? Okay. So I don't see any questions so far. Now, when you have your PC and you've got your Windows, of course, your Windows 10, you automatically get the OneDrive, right? So when you're looking at your File Explorer, you'll see OneDrive over here. When you click on OneDrive, you'll have to set it up with your email address. So that's your email address you used to purchase your subscription for Microsoft Office 365, or the email you used when you bought the desktop version of Microsoft Office. And then you create an account based on that email and you set up a password. So when that's set up, you can then sync it, your OneDrive to your computer. I like to do this because I sync my files. So say, for example, I like to use a file on my PC. Let's say it's my resume. But every time I save it, I want a copy of it automatically to be synced. I want it to be automatically updated every time I update it. So I've got one document, one resume sitting on my PC. I might have many more, of course, but I'm talking about one resume at this point. And I might want the copy of it to be sitting on the OneDrive. So I copy the resume and paste it on the OneDrive. But I might want, every time I edit that particular resume that I also have on the OneDrive, let's say I use my PC and I am editing it, or I use my OneDrive from another PC somewhere, my laptop from Starbucks, and I decide to change it. I want both resumes, which are the same name, one copy on my computer and one copy on my OneDrive to automatically sync. Well, you can do that if you use the OneDrive Sync app, whether you're using the Mac or the Windows version. And this is a link that you can go to and learn a little bit more. But what you're basically doing is you're using the OneDrive app, which allows you to sync your documents. So when you're editing a document either on the PC, it also is, when you save, it updates it on the OneDrive. So this is a really good tool, but you have to set up your OneDrive first. Then you have to download the OneDrive Sync app, and this is where you would go to find it. This little link right here that you'll get. And then you set it up to do it. It's really a great thing, and I wanted to always tell everybody that this is a choice that you can do. Now, before we look at the other classes, let's take a look at what we covered today. And do you have any questions? So I always set this up to run an hour and a half, even though I could probably get it done in an hour. I always want to leave room for questions and maybe other either demonstrations or repeat demonstrations that you might need. So go ahead, put anything in the chat. And if I don't see anything in the chat, of course, in just a minute or two, then I'll just move on and we'll close the session today. But this is what we've done. And are there any questions about what we covered or any additional questions about what you were hoping to cover? Go ahead and put those in the chat. And as you're writing, I'll demonstrate one other thing in the File Explorer. So again, I have files that were from a PC and I downloaded. I might want to take that file and drag it to another folder, but I can't see the subfolders, right? So again, I look on this PC, I click the arrow beside Documents. Now I can see my subfolders. So I'll take a look at Downloads, find the file, and drag it over to wherever I want to put it. Make sense? Now, when you have a file that's opened and you're trying to move it, this is the error message that you're going to get. The action cannot be completed because the file is a PowerPoint file, which I actually have in use. It's open. Here's the PowerPoint file we've been using. And I tried to drag it and move it so that I could show you. Any, again, file that you have open, you can't drag or move. It has to be closed in order to move it. So I would have to come and close this and then drag it where I want it to go. Okay? And so I would cancel that and go ahead and do it. All right, the other thing, let's take a look. All right, let's go take a look at the File Explorer again. And we created the training folder and the job search folder. And what if I right-click on the job search folder and delete? Does it delete everything inside the folder? The answer is yes. When I click on delete, oh, the folder or file, oh, there's a, again, thank you. There's a file that's in this folder that's open. And because that one file is open, I can't delete any of these until I close that file. So how about if I do customers or training? I'll do training. So if I wanted to delete the whole entire training folder, I would right click, delete. I don't think I have any files open, and notice it's gone. Not there anymore. The whole folder with all the files are deleted. Where did they go, everybody? Oh, no answers yet. It went to the recycle bin. So when I double click on the recycle bin, there's the training folder. The trash can, somebody writes, very good. There's the training folder. I can restore it and I can empty it and delete it permanently. All right, everybody good? Okay. All right, I don't see any other questions, so let's take a look. Oh, is zip files a free service? Yes, it's free. It comes with Windows. Prior, like years ago, I'm not sure, let's say 5 years ago, might have been less than that, but you would have had to purchase a, a zip file software. Not so anymore. Since Windows 10, zip files are part of the option to zip is part of the File Explorer. So you're able to highlight, you're able to go to share and zip them, and you're able to unzip them. All free, part of Windows 10. Okay, so some of us have been around for a while, and we've used to seeing that some of these features were in additional software. Not so anymore. All right, great questions, everybody. Keep them coming if you like. All right, I'm going to go to a particular slide right now. So yes, somebody asks, can we email a zip folder? Well, that's the purpose of zipping, because then when you email that zipped folder, the hundreds or thousands or whatever files are in that zip folder are compressed and easily emailed. Then when the person gets that zip folder, that's when they extract all those files. So as the purpose of zipping files into a folder is it compresses them for email purposes so that you're easily able to email. Yes. All right, let's take a look at some of the upcoming events that Brendan and Nancy and myself will be working on. So this week, these classes are probably already closed because we close 48 hours ahead, but let's take a look at next week. Live Job Coach, we're doing LinkedIn, cover letter, online applications, advanced Excel pivot tables, and thank you notes. The following week, which is the last week of October, Hard to Imagine, storytelling in your career search. We're doing LinkedIn headline and summaries, new strategies for older workers, transition webinars if you're thinking of career changing, how to make Excel charts, how to use Outlook's calendar and tasks feature, transferable skills in the job search. So you're going to be transitioning as well as looking at transferable skills to, again, maybe stick with the same type of job or transfer into another whole situation. And then I'm teaching an Excel lookup. That's a new class. So an Excel lookup functions class. So these are our classes. And now we're ready to do a file transfer. The file transfer allows me to give you this presentation. Stick around. I'd love for you to try the file transfer. If you're using an iPad or even a Chromebook, sometimes, or a phone, of course, you may not be able to do the download. So we ask that you either email me in order to get the file, but try the download first. And when you email me, you'll indicate your full name and your job seeker ID and what training event you want, and I'll email it to you. But right now, let's try the file transfer. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Hold on a second. Hold on one second, everybody. I am going to stop sharing. And your screen is going to look gray, and it's going to say Mass Higher Metro North. And let's take a look at this file. So I just want to do one thing behind the scenes here. All right, I am getting the file ready for you. Okay, so now I'm going to go to File, Transfer, and find that file. I'm going to be able to share it with you, and you're going to be able to download it right away. And let's see. Here it is, right here. Take a look. You're going to left click on this and then come up and left click on download. When you click on download, you're going to be able to answer yes to the first question. And then when you click save, save goes to the documents folder. So your file will be put in the documents folder. So go ahead and try the file download by just left clicking on download, clicking yes, and then save, and you should have the file. Just in case that doesn't work, of course, email me and I will email you the file. So thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to teach you today and to be with you today. And hopefully you learned some new things or became more confident in working with files on your PC versus files on a cloud, creating folders, being more organized, copying and moving them, and also zipping them so that you can email them. All right. Thanks for the comments in the chat. And what I'm going to do is do a little bit behind the scenes, and then I'll shut this down. You have a great afternoon. You stay healthy, stay safe, and good luck, everybody, with your job search. And I hope I see you in future classes as well. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. Bye-bye.